Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Lenny Robbins YouTube channel. I've watched what they do. Let's get to know your politics. Let's come together and create a better understanding for one and all. I've not been here for quite some time. I think my last posting was sometime in September. I must apologize for that because of work and some little areas of studies that I'm actually getting done. I want to jump right into something because I know the next general election is pretty near, and I want to jump right back into what the Prime Minister and Your Holiness had a meeting over by in the East Portland constituency. And even before that, it was pretty clear that the general election wasn't far away. It's going to be called pretty early next year, come next year. And I do believe, from my own estimation, it's going to be done between the latest March. I think they're going to get it done by March because from the way they're projecting themselves, it's got to be pretty soon. Within the first 3 months, that general election will be called. So this is also a warning out there to all PNP supporters and the PNP party to be on the lookout and get ready. Get yourself prepared if you're not. The Prime Minister was over in East Portland making a speech, a campaign speech. He was actually at what they call one of their era meeting, a era conference. I don't know what it is, but somewhere in Portland he was, and I could see Mrs. Vaz, Darrell Vaz's wife. I mean, everything the Prime Minister says, she jump up and hand in the air and everything. And one can't blame you for being so hyperactive or so hyped up about the whole situation, Mrs. Vaz. You have the right to be and express yourself. But what I noticed though that the Prime Minister he made a big promissory speech. That's all he did. In my estimation, that's what happened. The promissory speech was made to the people of Portland. What he's going to do for Portlanders, he hasn't taken the eyes off them, he hasn't forgotten them, and what he intends to do. You understand? The economic development, the amount of job creation that's going to happen in Portland, and all of these things. And I know all of these promises are made because the election is in the year and it's coming up near. And also, we must also understand that one of the things that I've also looked at is that I think he really went over to Portland because he could not ask the present sitting MP for the era to speak. He could not ask anyone else to speak. He had to do that himself as the Prime Minister because this is very important why he has to do it. And I say that because I say the importance of it is PNP made the first move on the chessboard by installing Isat Buchanan over there, or Isat Buchanan. Now, in all reality, for me, Isat Buchanan is not a politician. And to just take him off the legal realm, the life from the legal, but in the legal fraternity life of moving into politics in the era of politics, it's kind of nonsensical. He has no political experience. He's not a politician by any sense of the imagination, or any stretch of the imagination, I should say. He's not a politician. He's definitely a lawyer. But I can't blame the PNP either. I'm not blaming the PNP for doing that because they are riding on a popularity thing with Isat Buchanan coming out of the recent vice cartel issue and the appeal court and court in England and all of these things. He's riding high because of that. So they do believe that they have a good chance for them if they install him over in Portland because one of their weak areas, and one of their strongest safe seat, one of their weak areas, and they want to capture as much seat as possible. So they made a move, the Prime Minister Holness made a move. Now, I'm not blaming any other political parties for the move they make. And I can't really complain about what they do either. It's within their right to do that, and they made a very strategic move. Both parties did make a strategic move. But I decided to look into that because I'll jump on that because I want people to understand. Now this is the politics we're getting. The politics we're getting from our leaders and people who are trying to become leaders of the governing side of the country in terms of our public administration policies that we should be, surviving by or living by. These are people who just notice like I said, they both made a good move. Both parties did make a good move. But it's all party move. From a party perspective, it's a wonderful move. Very strategic from a party perspective. But as far as the people is concerned, this does nothing for the people. It does nothing for the people. The PNP move it is at Buchanan is predicated on the fact that he, like I said, he's riding high coming out of the recent Vice Cartel issue. So they're riding on, the PNP is riding on the coattail of that popularity, hoping that he'll take the seat. But they got to understand, and I know they must understand that even the PNP campaign manager, the people who are doing campaigning for the PNP, they're well aware that Isaac Buchanan is not a politician. You understand? He's not a politician, and to get him into the heart of that community within a couple of months, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult for him to win over the community in a couple of months because he has no political experience. So Andrew Holness and the JLP, they did a smart move. Prime Minister himself went over there, another big conference. The move was great, but his delivery was very, very poor. Because again, Mr. Prime Minister, all you made to people of Portland or their community or their constituency which you're talking about is merely what we call feel-good story or smokescreen argument, and what I call the promissory politics, the campaign politics. That is what was delivered. The party politics, that is what was delivered. Not the politics for the people. That wasn't delivered to the people. And it surprised me, sir, you made mention of all the development and the economic growth you want to bring to Portland for the benefit of the people in Portland. And I'm sitting there listening to your speech. All you're saying about the benefits you're bringing to Portland raises a question with me. If you can promise this for Portland, what is stopping you from promising all Jamaica this? Because I've never heard you made a speech that you're promising all Jamaica all these beautiful things you talk about in that speech. And I want you to go back. And the person who write that speech for you, go back and really go back through that speech, word for word. And tell me why couldn't you have promised, or why did you not before promise Jamaica all of this sweet talk? The way the message was constructed, so your delivery was constructed to the people of Portland, it just tells me clearly, any sensible people inside there can tell you straight up, this is just party politics, this is just campaign politics. Another thing that jumps out at me, and I mean this is not slamming just the JLP, it's also for the PNP, the way you both parties conduct their own campaign and do their thing. The people who you expect to vote for you, have you ever stopped to wonder if they hear 3/4 what you people are saying? Now, if I don't hear 3/4, 75% of what you're saying, so how do I even leave your conference understanding what you're going to do for me? And that's something that jumps out at me with Mr. Andrew Holness over in East Portland. Because every word out of his mouth, sir, there was a lot of words. Every word, as you open your mouth, the decibel from the crowd turns up. So I'm wondering if people are really hearing what you're saying. Or if they do go home to go back and look at this and rehash the speech you gave, rehash it in any way, shape or form. People are highlighting these things, and highlighting this situation as one example of us not really taking the time out to really look, listen at what politicians are giving to us, the kind of politics we're getting. It's a politics to let us feel good. It's a politics for campaign speeches. It's for campaign purposes. It's a politics for lifting the image of the party. It's a politics based on promise. Based upon promise, Mr. Prime Minister. It is time It is time, and this is an appeal to both JLP and PMP. It is time parties stop promising people riches and comfort and jobs and better paying wages. It is time we stop promising people these things. It is time for us to deliver. And again, I must appeal to these people who are following the politics of the day. But by that I mean the JLP supporters and the PMP supporters. Let me tell you something. When it comes to voting, the very people at your conference are there in the majority when it comes to voting. But when it comes to benefit, guys, you are in the minority. And you got to start to understand where you stand in the politics. Because there's no point in supporting politics because you want to put on a green shirt or you want to put on an orange shirt. Marky, my shirt may look like an orange shirt here, but it's really brown. I'm not a PMP supporter, neither am I a JLP supporter. I'm not against the JLP, I'm not against the PMP. You understand? I'm not here. I'm just here to speak the facts as I see it, or my opinion as I deemed it to be. Just here to give my opinion and my take on things that I see it. And I will continue to try to reach out to Jamaican people because I need people now to start to wake up and realize that politics is not a joke thing no more. It's not a joke no more. Take what happened in the last election in America. It's not a joke. Everything will be promised to you during that campaign. But you tell me what is delivered, what benefits you get after the campaign and the election is over. I'm not trying to compare our politics to what is happening in America. But there are similarities in the way things are done. And like I said, promises at night, as the song says, promises at night are so easily made, but they disappear at the light of day. When these people get into office or on the campaign trail, they have no problem to promise you all the goodies you can ever think of. But the minute you vote for them and they get in office, that's their daylight. They don't remember you. They don't remember the promise they made to you. So how can we successfully sit there, listen? I don't even think people are listening at these conferences. I don't think they are listening because the amount of noise. How are you guys hearing? You tell me, people, how much are you hearing at these campaigns and these conferences? It is a shame to see both parties reach to the stage where, you can use whatever strategic method you want to use to garner vote or to capture more votes. That's fine. But do it on the backs of honesty. Let honesty be the cornerstone of that kind of strategic move you're making to capture votes. Don't do it just because you want to stay in power. And that is what has been happening all these time. Politicians, political parties in Jamaica are just making promises to people to capture vote. It is a shame. It is a shame to see what the politics of Jamaica, or where the politics of Jamaica is. It is a shame. And no doubt this government in power is trying to hold on to power. I remember, I said this in an earlier video, it's probably sometime between March and April of this year. The very Prime Minister's wife made a speech. It was published in the Daily Gleaner. That her husband is the best thing for Jamaica, so Jamaica people must vote for him to keep him in power for the next 20 years. And what note? What is the benefit to our people in the country, Mr. Prime Minister, and your wife. Let me throw this out there for you and your wife, because she made the appeal on your behalf. Why should people vote for you for the next 20 years? When we all know that the country is still in an existential crisis, people are crying out. It is tough on people. But let me even get down to something more basic, sir. It is expected that here in the US there's going to be a lot of changes. A lot of changes come January. So I'd like to know, Mr. Prime Minister, life in Jamaica right now is pretty tough. What plans do you have in place to offset when things get more expensive for people? Because remember, you know, we need the Jamaican, we need the American dollars to conduct our business. We need it. When the cost of everything goes up, the cost of everything is going to fall on Jamaica. And you need to tell the people and let people know that not because it is predicted in America that with the elected president tariff war that he wants to wage on the world, if that ever happens, you need to let the Jamaican people know that it's going to affect them. It's going to affect us here in Jamaica. It's not US alone. And that's a reality you can't escape, sir. But a question to you, now you want to win back election. What are you promising people in that regards? How is your government preparing to ease that cost of living? That burden that will now be placed upon people, your voters, the citizens of Jamaica. How are you planning to help them? Outside of promising all that you can deliver while the world around you that you depend on is changing. It's making it harder for people to live, but yet here you are in Portland promising downtown and Parade. And you very well know, sir, that you might not even get to Parade. You may not even be able to see your way to Parade in the next 5-6 years. If you are in power at the end of the next general election. Same thing for the PMP. What are they doing? Everybody's telling the nation what they will do and what they can do and what they won't do and what they will do. Nation, people, we need to wake up. We need to wake up and start to look at it and understand the influence on our economy by international partners. We need to understand it. Remember, COVID disrupted the supply chain. And life was hard. Struggling for a lot of people. People couldn't get this, you couldn't get that. This is tied to this is married to that. Now, not only will the supply chain disrupted and things change and all of these things are going to happen, the whole logistic of these things will be so disrupted and changed, because if these tariff things get into place, let me tell you something. It's going to be weeping and mourning for poorer countries like us. But I hear nothing coming out of the PMP and I hear nothing coming out of the JLP about this preparation. Yet they're promising the nation all the goodies they can. And both parties know that they can't deliver if that tariff is put in place. They know they can't. Jamaica knows they can't. Because based on what is called globalization, because I don't believe there's any globalization. There's no such thing as globalization. But based on what they deem the G7, G20, or G8, whatever they want to call themselves, believe to be globalization. Because of that, Jamaica will experience economic hardships. Mr. Prime Minister, I gave you one credit. You've been holding the dollar exchange at a particular rate for quite some time now. And I'm sure when you win the election next year, if you win, or whichever party win, I don't know, well, you guys can hold the dollar to the value it is, to the exchange rate it is right now. And if it goes up, we all know what's going to happen to the cost of goods and services coming into Jamaica. We all know what's going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lennie Robbins YouTube channel. Know your politics. Let's come together to create a better understanding by watching what these politicians do. We have to watch what they do. Effectively, to do that, we also must listen carefully to what they say. All these nights that when you're at the campaign and we're at the conference and all of these things, all these nights around us, and we're just there for the joy of it. People are just there for the joy of it, not even hear what the minister is saying. You understand? We need to tone down the decibel of that conference business. Tone it down and listen carefully to what is said. It's said because it is our life that's on the line. Our existence is challenged. That prime minister there, that leader of the opposition, all politicians in the ruling government, all politicians in the opposition party, and their big friends, none of them is going to suffer. I can tell you that. If an economic crisis hits Jamaica right now, or the world, or the Western world, or the Caribbean right now, Caribbean basin, we are going to be hungry. And when people get hungry, people get selfish. When people get selfish, people get greedy. When people get greedy, people get angry. When people get angry, people start to steal, loot, shoot, and take what doesn't belong to them. And don't blame people. Because when that happens, the only thing the government can do is to unleash the police or the military on you. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamaicans, all walks of life, wake up. Wake up. We must watch what they do. Welcome to the Lennie Robbins Show. I did not do a follow-up on my part one, what is politics and why it is important. But I'll definitely be doing that. But I just wanted to post this and say something about that thing Mr. Holness and the JLP had over in I think it was Eastern or Southeastern Portland, whatever it is, they had over there, and somewhere in Portland though. And I just wanted to say something about that. That's my little take on it, Mr. Andrew Holness. It's time you guys, even at the PMP, stop promising people. Stop promising the nation. On the days of Buster Manley and Norman Manley, Jamaicans have been promised. That's all politicians do. Promise. You made more promise more than delivery. And the time has come, man. You don't have to make so much promises to win an election if you don't realize that. I don't know who your campaign strategists or your political campaign people are, but tell them they don't have to make. I'm saying to you guys behind the scene, from both parties, you don't have to make all these, write all these promises in campaign speeches to your prime ministers and all of these people. You don't have to. If you can promise the Jamaican people just two things, you can win your seat, or you can be in power. Because people are sensible enough to understand that not everything can be done at the same time. But this broad promise you're telling people, we know it's not real, we know it's smoke screen, we know it's just feel-good story. Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta get back to work, gotta get back to some real study there. So once again, welcome to the Lennie Robbins YouTube channel. Know your politics. I appeal to you again. Don't overlook this. You see this video, subscribe, just put your likes, whatever comment you have, leave it in your comment. And I'm not afraid. I'm going to say if you don't like it, just stick a dislike. Because it will be better for you, better for me. You understand? We all can learn from each other. None of us know it all. Again, thank you. Welcome. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Lennie Robbins YouTube channel. Over and out. Thank you, Jamaica. Brace yourself.